What's up? This is Tom Froming from Twins Daily. We're going to talk about free agent targets for the Twins. Very slow pace this offseason. On the good side, that means a lot of our discussions on these offseason live episodes we've been running are still relevant. So let's take a look back at some of these discussions. We're going to start out with Seth Stows of Twins Daily talking about Trevor Bauer, but we're also going to discuss Brad Hand, Michael Brantley, Kiké Hernández, Jurickson, Profar, and Tommy Lestell, all targets. But we discussed a number of more free agents in this series. I'm going to put a link to a card here to the playlist to where you can find all the full episodes, literally hours upon hours of discussion. If you're looking, as a Twins fan, looking for some Twins talk, go check those out. Well, let's get right into it.
I mean, how do you not talk Trevor Bauer in an offseason where, frankly, he's not only the best pitcher, but you kind of look ahead, he's really the only big pitcher this offseason. And what's intriguing about him is, I mean, we all know the downside. I mean, he is an enigma. He probably gets himself in a little bit of trouble in social media for things he said. It's not even to say he's right or wrong, but he definitely puts himself out there. It's fun. It's fun to watch. He's the best pitcher on the market. I guess the reason that I'm intrigued by him is just because think of the Twins starting rotation in 2021. If you've got Maeda, Barrios, and Pineda, and none of them is your number one starter because Trevor Bauer is your number one, that's a pretty good rotation. Although I do want to point this out, his season ERA starting in 2014, so we're looking at 7 seasons here, 4.18, 4.55, 4.26, 4.19, 2.21, 4.48, 1.73. So I don't know that he's the given ace that people think. I mean, those ERAs in the fours put him below the Jose Barrios level, who has stayed at the 3.7 to 4.0 range each of those last 3 or 4 years. Here's the one reason I even think he's worth us discussing. Because of the economics, because we don't know what's going to happen, 1 year might be an option for Trevor Bauer. Now, he has said all throughout his career, if he ever, in fact, he's famously known for saying that if he ever took a multi-year deal, he would let somebody shoot him in the groinal region with a ball. So, that may have been more of his arbitration free agency take. But with this offseason being kind of an unknown, he may choose to wait 1 year and just do another 1 year thing. So
what stands out to you otherwise about Brad Hand as maybe coming aboard for the Twins?
Well, first of all, there's the obvious Minnesota connection. Of course, he's born from the state, so that just seems natural. But just he kind of does already feel like a sort of reliever of the Twins target, because if you think back to all the guys they've signed, for better or for worse, when it comes to the bullpen, Blake Parker, I think about Fernando Rodney, you think about I guess they did re-sign Sergio Romo. They acquired Sergio Romo, Tyler Clippard. A lot of guys, you don't see a whole lot of high velocity, really rely on off speed, either a changeup or a slider type, and they tend to throw that pitch a lot. And Brad Hand fits that mold perfectly, throws a lot of sliders, I believe about 50% of the time. That's been pretty consistent over the last few years. When the only real chink in the armor for him was the fact that his velocity on his fastball is down just a little bit, but all the numbers were just phenomenal still. So
the only holdup with me is the price, I guess. Matt, any kind of guess at what Brad Hand might get on this market?
Dude, I have absolutely no idea how everything's about to go.
No.
I don't even think the teams themselves know, so I'm just going to back off on that.
33-year-old, just played in Houston. Unlike a lot of the guys we're talking about here, he did not really have a huge down year in 2020. He hit 300, 364 OBP, 476 slugging, had 5 homers, 22 RBIs. He was kind of one of the stars on that Houston team, which advanced fairly deep in the playoffs. And his track record is tremendous. This is a guy who has been a 4-time All-Star, has been a MVP type player at times. We know him well from his time that he spent in Cleveland.
First and foremost, he's as consistent at the plate as any player in Major League Baseball. He's a career .297 hitter, and when you think about a guy like that who's been in the league for as long as he has, that's pretty darn good. But he is someone that can play in big time games. We've seen it. We've seen it in the postseason, and I think that he could really. He's a left fielder as well. so he could fill that hole of Rosario if he's gone. It would really be a dream situation, in my opinion.
You got some agreement here in the comments. Kurt says, I like Brantley. Polads need to write the check. Michael says, Brantley is killer in pressure RBI situations. Veteran to the hilt. Leader material. That's something you're going to be looking for, I think, if you lose Cruz and Rosario. These are leaders on this team. These are fixtures and players that the guys, especially the young guys, look to. And signing a guy like Brantley might not be that unrealistic if you let Cruz and Rosario go, because those guys figure to make $25 million next year. There's no way Brantley's getting anything close to that.
Everyone loves Kiké Hernández from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, he's in our minds right now because he's been having a phenomenal postseason.
But I love his versatility and how he can play everywhere in the diamond. The only place he hasn't played in a big league game is catcher. And he plays good defense no matter where you put him, in the outfield, anywhere on the infield. And I really just love how well he hits left-handed pitching. His career OPS against left-handed pitching is up in the 800, 820 actually is where he's at career-wise there. And that's sort of what this team needs. Coming out of 2019, they hit really well against lefties. Last year, for whatever reason, they just didn't have the same production against left-handed pitching. So if you bring in a guy like Kiké, who has a career track record of hitting really well against left-handed pitching, and I kind of see Kiké really as being almost like an everyday kind of guy for this team. And he's really my number one priority right now in the offseason is to find a way to bring Kiké to Minnesota.
I'm going with Jurickson Profar. He is my Profar choice. That was really dumb, really bad. And Jurickson Profar, formerly the unanimous number one prospect in baseball as a young player, took him a while to develop and certainly did not reach the level that his loftiest projections would have expected. But he's turned himself into, quite a good player and a versatile player. Switch hitter, pretty good defender, and I think at his age still has a little upside left, which is very intriguing to me.
Tommy Lestell is rock solid. He's someone that over the past couple seasons has just batted very well. High average, low strikeouts. And so that's something that I think it's important for the Twins to have a utility guy who can hit the ball, like one of the comments that we just spoke about. And I think Lestella could certainly play that role.
All right, and just to remind you again, if you like that, there is a ton more where that came from. Right here, I'm going to put a playlist to all these off-season live episodes. And down here, Seth Stowe has also been interviewing a lot of Twins players and personalities, a ton of minor leaguers, a lot of great insights coming out of those interviews, so check that out as well.